For the people who don't know, what is the MSA?
Well, the Manitoba Society of Artists is a very, very old organization of arts and artists that began in 1902. And it began with some very prominent members of the art community, and it has continued and since then and to the present day, which is 103 years old.
And how does it feel for you to be working for an organization that's over 100 years old? Like, how does that feel?
Well, I'm not that age. I'm not that old. I mean, I have a number of years on me and experience behind me. But when I joined the Manitoba Society of Artists, I understood what their mission was and what their goal was, and that is basically to promote the appreciation of art and artists in the province of Manitoba. So it is Manitoba centric, and also to offer opportunities for exhibit for artists in the province as much as is possible, and to seek out venues to provide exhibits. The association was first begun as a response to the existence and predominance of the Ontario Society of Artists, and the desire to have one that was Manitoba centered, basically prairie and northern art as it was defined at the time.
How long have
And
you
how does
been?
it I'm sorry, how does it feel, you asked? Well, it's always been a goal because membership has always been by selection and induction. So a jury of peers that induct you and agree that you should be a member. So there's always been a sense of being honored and having worked and earned a designation of MSA member. So it makes me feel very happy and proud that to have that. It's a validation. It's one of many validations that artists can receive during their careers. But in a sense, it is a validation of an artist's progress in their journey.
Yeah, exactly. And so you kind of clearly you're not 100 years old. How long have you been working with the society?
Well, I was inducted into membership in 2009. I moved to Manitoba in 2001, and I had been practicing art, uh, I guess, peripherally in my life because, as many of us do, we have other concerns. And I had been working in my professional career, and then I moved to Manitoba and I became semi-retired, but I still wanted to forward my art, and I still, of course, was an artist. So it was my goal to join the Manitoba Society of Artists, and so in 2009 I was inducted. In 2010, I began to work with the executive, and every year since then, I have performed a role on the executive in some capacity or other.
Well, then, congratulations for achieving your goal of getting in. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And so, in your years of being with the society, how have you seen it progress? Or even if you know the history, like from being over 100 years old back in the day, back then, how does it differ to now? Can you say more on that?
Oh, very much so. In my opinion, when I joined, it was, I would think, I guess from an outsider moving into an organization, I was coming into a well-oiled organization that had specific views, and I was a newcomer and I had other views. And so as I began to work within the organization, of course, one expands one's area of expertise and influence. So we began to, I would think, modernize, and I supported that movement. So I was more or less on that edge of the progression. And the modernization was defined in various ways. You know, as we move forward, sometimes we tack left or tack right to keep on moving forward. So we began to look at a different definition of art. You know, what is art became a question. The visual voice. What is the visual voice? Uh, Began to accept sculpture more readily into the definition of the, for example, the shows. Began to The Manitoba Society of Artists had always mounted exhibits and held events. They had previously held conferences, art conferences, and those had fallen into disuse, I guess. I guess they lacked an organizer. So I thought, wouldn't that be interesting to revive that? So we got a team together and we started to revive those kinds of activities. I know it sounds very ordinary for today because since the pandemic, the world has changed, and there's so much more of that available now from so many different sources. There is a richness of art and art history and art information available not only on the internet, but to artists in the province of Manitoba, specifically about Manitoba and for Manitoba artists, than there ever used to be. So it's also being a question of staying current. So not just leading the pack, but keeping up with it when someone has a good idea and has tact over here, and we find ourselves over here. So, oh yeah, let's go over there and work with that. So it's
Mhm.
it's very energizing and it's stimulating to an artistic inspiration.
Yeah. And it's with these modernizations, it's with these like, keeping up with the trends that makes like Manitoba have such like a strong to continue to have such a strong arts culture, right? Because we are a pretty artistic like province, I would say. So yeah, I
Absolutely. There is so much attention and credibility given to the arts community here, not only by artists who speak amongst themselves, because it is a small world, uh, but amongst the art aficionados who appreciate the art, and also the formal organizations and government institutions who encourage it. When a government institution stops encouraging it, there's a huge outcry, which gives a sense of the health of the community and its appreciation and need for that kind of activity. So, yes, kudos to Manitoba and all things Manitoban. Yeah.
that's right. Go Manitoba. So now moving on to the Open Juried competition and exhibition. You have that coming up. Can you say more
Mhm.
on what it's about?
Well, this is the 91st edition, and it's an annual exhibition, and it offers an opportunity for any Manitoba art maker over the age of 16 to exhibit and be recognized for the entry that they submit. So they pay a fee and they submit their work. It's juried, and usually the entries number about between anywhere between 200 to 400. It depends on the year. It depends on what's out there and what else is going on, because the timing of the exhibit is usually different depending on when a gallery is available. Those are the kinds of practicalities that are dealt with, but it offers a recognition to an artist to be able to win an award or recognition for a work that they have created. And of course, there are terms and conditions. It also offers a direct line to record a success without having to have belonged to a group or an organization. So anyone can come in and submit a creation that is outlined in the terms and conditions as acceptable. The exhibit has never had a photography uh, part of it, and I think it's because it's focused on the creation of original art that cannot be duplicated from itself. It has recently included digital art, but there are specifics around that. But it is an opportunity for an artist to submit without any other credentials for as being an artist, and see what's out there and see if they are recognized. And recently, excuse me, recently since the pandemic, what we've begun to do is jury digitally and then exhibit physically as well. So it's like a dual exhibit. So you enter and you are in the digital exhibit, and then you're selected for the physical exhibit. And then from the selected entries, which are about 70, there are about 12 awards that are recognized for achievement.
Okay, so there's like the online exhibit, and then a few artists, a few artworks get chosen for the physical exhibit, and then from that, that's where you choose the award winners. Is that right?
We don't, the Manitoba Society of Artists does not choose. It's an open, it's juried by two jurors that we engage. Um, when we only used to have just the physical exhibit, we would have one Manitoba juror and we would have one juror from outside the province. And we would bring them in and they would look at the artworks and the two of them together would decide on what were the selected works. And that worked out very well. And then the pandemic happened and we had to go digital, virtual. And that worked out so well because we gained a lot of visibility. Since this is our third version of it, and we have had over 30,000 visitors that see this art that would never have otherwise, or possibly never have otherwise, been exposed to this particular uh, artwork. So we didn't want to let it go when now that we can exhibit physically again. So we said, well, why don't we put in that effort and have both of them and accommodate both of them? So that's what we've done. It's almost, since it is the third time, it's almost a tradition now, and I would hope it would continue that there would be this exhibit virtually as well as selected. So you get 200 entries, your work is thrown into the ring, and the jurors decide that they're independent jurors. They have no affiliation with MSA, and this year, they are both from BC. So they will look at the works digitally. They will make their decision. They will establish the show. They will conduct a juror lecture evening, and that will be by Zoom so that we get a wider audience. And they will discuss the works and their decisions and their own work and their own career and any questions that those who are attending by Zoom would like to pose. And that is open to the public. And of course, there's no charge for that. And the artists find that wonderfully informative and stimulating as well, because they have an opportunity for one-on-one with these jurors, an opportunity that was more formal in the physical aspects of the presentation, the versions of the show, but because it's by Zoom, it becomes more accessible, much more accessible. And then we have what we call an award recognition night where the 12 artists who have 12 artworks which are being honored for special recognition, they do receive financial awards. We have set aside um, funds for this that are basically funded by um, donors who wish to usually recognize an artist who has probably had something to do with the MSA during their career, but they wish to honor their loved one and they establish an award in that artist's name. And it's awarded every year. So there's an
Well,
evening of that as well. And again, the public is welcome to attend as well as the press.
hmm, I guess a very important question is your submissions are opening tomorrow, I believe, on the 25th.
That's right. A little hint, a little head start. It's already up there. So, but we did say that no work will be done on it for anything that isn't right. We try to make sure that the images, if an image hasn't transmitted or something like that, there's enough time until the deadline on May 5th for the artists to actually, have the help desk work with them to get their image submitted in the proper format. So, but it's up there now.
Okay,
It's open season right now.
awesome. What's the website, I guess, that they should go to if they want to submit?
MSAOJCE.com.
Perfect. And then you said that this is the 91st, uh,
Indeed.
91st year. Do you have anything, perhaps this might be a little too early, but for lucky number 100, is there anything kind of special that you're thinking about doing, or is that too far in the future?
I would love to plan that far ahead, but I think that history has shown us that, we plan and the universe laughs. So I
Really?
think that to lock ourselves in, uh, there are so many things to do each year in the meantime. Wouldn't it be lovely if we could pack these shows up and somehow, um, caravan them around the province? But there's an awful lot to that kind of organization. Wouldn't it be lovely if we had additional shows that maybe not competitive shows, but again, more digital virtual shows because they're very popular. In the version of the Juried show, we have altered. Usually, MSA handles the sales from those shows, And what we decided to do was move away from the sales aspect and simply work on promoting the art and the artists aspect. So, and with the allocation of a dedicated website to the show, which is msaojce.com, we can do that. We can refer any sales interest, any collection or collectors to the artist directly, and they can handle their own sale from the web, or, receiving their collectors from the website. As once it goes into the gallery, we're very fortunate that the gallery will handle the sales, and the gallery has agreed to not require a commission this year, which is a wonderful encouragement as well to artists to not, not have to actually pay for that space because the Juried show has paid for that gallery space for them.
I forget if you mentioned, but where will the physical exhibit be held?
It'll be held at the Eagle Ridge Gallery at 15 Eagle Ridge Court, and it's I guess, a destination gallery. It's around McGillivray and Columbia, near Kenaston, one block
Yeah.
off, away from Kenaston. It's a beautiful gallery. The gallerist, Paul Taves, is very welcoming, and we're very appreciative because he actually does the hanging for us. So the artists simply have to bring their works, their selected works, um, to the gallery and check them in with him. He hangs them. He creates the labels. He connects with them. He makes the appointments, and he will arrange for them to meet collectors at the gallery if they so choose. The MSA is not organizing an opening reception. Opening receptions are just starting to come back, and we actually felt, well, we think we'll wait another year for that because it's a huge it's a huge endeavor to organize an opening reception, invite everyone, and then have to, for whatever reason, cancel it. So we thought, well, our awards recognition evening reaches the province now, and with this opportunity, because the gallerist is taking care of the staffing, so to speak, of the gallery, it's a huge opportunity for the artist to actually contact their own network and invite them for an afternoon that's prearranged at the gallery. And Paul is the gallerist is very artistically educated to give a tour of the works that are displayed and exhibited. He also creates a slideshow, and he produces a very small catalog for it. Yes. So
Yeah.
it's a
That
wonderful opportunity for a formal exhibit opportunity, and a lot of artists are experienced at that, and they love to do it again. And for a lot of artists, this is their first experience with it, and it's less pain than it might otherwise be. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a good introduction. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that collaboration and like that opportunity giving, like with the gallery and the artist, that's absolutely awesome. Is there, as we wrap up this interview, is there kind of anything else, any last thoughts that you want to share?
The deadline for application is May the 5th, and it's online. The applications must be online. All the instructions are there. There is an email online, or there's an email posted on the website that will say, if you need help, here's the help desk. Contact us, and try to do this before the night before, because
Yeah,
it's rough.
that would
Yeah.
help.
Yes, do the more in advance you can do this and get this confirmed, the better off it is. And
Yeah.
then wait for the results, look on the website for the results, and whether or not you're accepted or whether or not you're selected or win a prize, attend these things because there's amazing conversations about art and art shows between artists and the jurors that happen at these events. So there is the juror lecture, and there is the evening, the recognition, the awards recognition evening that is available. So, and all of that information is available on the website, msaojce.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Bonnie, for joining
Oh,
me today.
Vanessa. And Vanessa, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being interested. And I hope that this message gets out to as many artists or art makers as possible, because the
Mhm.
more entries there are, the larger that virtual show will be. And why not try? Why not put it out there?